Hello students and viewers at home. Welcome to our online lessons today. I am Chukwuelue Helen from St. Charles College, Onitsha of Government Department. My topic for discussion today is on the rule of law, basic principles of rule of law. Specific objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to 1. Define rule of law. 2. Explain the 3 basic principles of rule of law. 3. State 6 features of rule of law. Lastly, write the above 3 questions inside your classwork. Now, let us look at the meaning and definition of rule of law. Rule of law means the absolute supremacy or predominance of law over everybody in a political system. Both the rulers and the ruled, and all decisions taken in a country are under the law. So the man who propounded and popularized this theory is called Professor A.V. Dicey. If you can look at my hand and see this Dicey I'm holding, it's just to show you how you can be able to pronounce the man's name, A.V. Dicey, because some people make the mistake of pronouncing him as Dicey. The real pronunciation is Dicey. So this dice at my hand will be able to help you to pronounce the man's name, Dicey. Good. So, according to Professor I.V. Dicey, he argued that those entrusted with the affairs of the state, like the president, the governors, chairmen, and senators, must abide by the law. They must govern in accordance with the provisions of their constitutions, and their actions will also be in accordance with the law of their land. They must not act according to their own will or how they feel, and they must not misuse power. Now, we look at those 3 basic interpretations of the rule of law according to A.V. Dicey. A.V. Dicey observed that the rule of law comprised 3 basic principles which are as follows. 1. Equality before the law. By that equality before the law, it means that all men, all persons are equal before the law, and we are under one law. There is only one law. Whether you are very rich or very poor, young or old, and every officer, starting from the presidents, governors, senators, ministers, or military officer down to the tax collector, is equal before the law. Nobody is above the law. And the law is no respecter of any person. So here, it means that all are under the same law and under the same punishments, are liable to the same punishment or payment of damages taken in the exercise of your lawful authority or lawful duty. The law must not be bent to favor any person. Law should be applied equally to all persons, irrespective of their political, economic, and social status. All citizens must have equal access to law facility, equal rights, fair hearing, and legal advice in the court of law. Second interpretation is supremacy of law. This means that the law is supreme above every person, that the law ranks well and above any person in the society, that the law is the highest authority in the land, meaning that the rulers and the ruled are under the law, and no person should be punished except being proven guilty by the law of courts, and that again, nobody should be punished except for a distinct or definite breach of law, which must be found in an established law of the land. And that the government or administrators must not rule arbitrarily. They must not rule in disregard of the Constitution. They must abide by the Constitution. Therefore, the essence of this supremacy of the law is to protect, safeguard the liberties of citizens, and control the actions of their citizenry. Thirdly is the principle of impartiality. Principle of impartiality. This simply means that the law is based on legality, which means due process of law in dealing with offenders or lawbreakers. And that nobody, or that the law here stipulates that nobody should be punished except for a distinct breach of law, breaking of law, which must be established in the ordinary court of land. And that any accused person is regarded as a suspect except found guilty by the law court. Which also, or in another words, that a suspect or any accused person is innocent, is regarded as innocent until proved by the court of law. So the aim of this impartiality as well is to protect and ensure the freedom of citizens. Thank you. The fourth principle is the principle of individual rights, or what we say, respect for fundamental human rights. So the rule of law or the Constitution guarantees and protects these rights of its citizens, meaning that the rights of citizens are entrenched in their constitutions. And these rights are natural and they are inalienable rights, meaning that these rights are natural, they are inborn and cannot be taken away from their citizens. And if these rights are violated, then the citizen or individual can seek redress in the law courts. Among the other features of rule of law are 1, separation of powers and checks and balances. Here, it means that the organs of government are independent in terms of functions and personnel, and each organ is used as a check over the other arm of government to ensure a proper rule of law. Secondly is adequate publicity of all laws. All laws must be made known to the public. Thirdly is that there should be no delayed justice. Justice should not be delayed or denied. All should be treated equally in the law courts, meaning that the citizens should not be discriminated against in terms of tribe, race, sex, or religion, or a place of birth. Fourthly is that the judiciary must be independent and impartial. That the judiciary, by being independent and impartial, should be free from the interferences of the executive and their legislation, so that they're able to preside their judgments without fear or favor. Then number 5 is freedom of the press. The press should not be censored or gaggled. They should be given freedom to cover their the government and criticize where government is failing. Then number 6 is this open trial. Justice must be in open trial, not in secret. Then number 7, laws must not be in retrospective, not be backdated. Laws must be effective from the present date and should not be in a particular date in the past. Lastly is fair hearing. Any accused person should be given opportunity of fair hearing. Other ones are number 9, absence of a state of anarchy, emergency periods like war or disaster. 10, citizens should be given basic education as well as civic education in order to identify their rights and know when they are violated. Number 11, existence of public complaints commission to hear cases of wrongdoing or administrative wrongs. 12, appeals must allow within 30 days of judgment according to the Limitation Act. Oh my good students, we have come to the end of the lesson, and I'm wholly convinced that you understood the lesson. when we say the meaning of rule of law to be absolute supremacy of law over every person in their state. And the basic principles of rule of law, which are 1. Equality before the law, 2. Supremacy of the law, 3. Principle of impartiality, 4. Principle of individual rights or respect for fundamental human rights, among others. Now, answer the following questions. Define rule of law. 2. Explain the 3 basic principles of rule of law. 3. State 6 features of rule of law. And then write those questions inside your classwork. Do the assignment and contact me with this number, 070-68216-417. Thank you very much and remain blessed.